For 5 long years, Ethan had been the Prescott family's driver, and every day felt the same. Victoria, the eldest daughter, never missed a chance to remind him he was beneath her. To her, he wasn't a man, just a doormat to mock, a loser who carried her purses and soaked up her insults. But behind the glitter and cruelty, Ethan had seen her break. Nights when she'd tear apart the mansion, crying until she collapsed on the floor. Regret always came too late for her, though. She was the one who decided his worth was measured by his empty wallet. Ethan's reality was simple. Whatever paycheck he earned went straight back home to keep his sister alive. His own balance barely clung to 3 digits. That morning, as the roar of a sports car echoed outside, he didn't even need to look. He knew it was her. Victoria Prescott, back from another night of chaos. Her red Porsche screeched to a halt, so close it nearly grazed his jeans. She rolled the window down, sunglasses hiding her eyes, but not her irritation. "What are you doing?" Standing there like a statue. "Get this thing to the dealership now." She stepped out, perfume and stale champagne clouding the air. Ethan slid into the driver's seat, the leather still warm from her skin, the car thick with her scent. Through the rear view, he caught sight of her staggering toward the mansion, the same scene he'd been living for half a decade. "Ethan, what are you waiting for?" she snapped again, knocking on the window. "Do the tune-up, then drive me to the Celestial Club." As always, he just nodded. Talking back wasn't an option. The paycheck was too important. His sister's medical bills depended on it. Half an hour later, he pulled up at the club. She reapplied lipstick in the mirror, her reflection catching his in the glass. "I'm meeting friends tonight," she said. "You're coming with me." That stopped him cold. She never brought him along, not to her world of velvet ropes and champagne towers. "Miss Prescott, should I change?" he asked. Her laugh was sharp, cutting. "Change into what? You look perfect as you are. Just remember, don't say a word. Embarrass me, and I'll kill you." She slammed the door and walked off, heels tapping like gunshots on marble. Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel until his nails dug into his palms. At 7, he drove her downtown to an exclusive lounge. On the ride, she was syrup sweet on the phone, a side of her he barely recognized. "You'll see," she whispered to whoever was on the other end. "Everyone's going to be so surprised." Then she leaned forward. "Ethan, when you see my friends, be smart. Especially Sophia Hayes. She's back in the country, and let's just say she's in a mood. Pour her drinks, light her cigarettes." "Got it." Ethan's head dipped in silence. But inside, he froze. He knew that name. Everyone did. Sophia Hayes, the plain, quiet best friend with a fortune that made the Prescotts look small. Strange, always single, but powerful. When the doors opened to the private room, the air was drenched in perfume and laughter. On velvet couches, girls in glittering dresses sparkled under the lights. And in the center sat Sophia. No diamonds, no glitter, just a white dress and dark curls tumbling down her shoulders. She didn't need the shine. She was the shine. "Go on. Pour her a drink." Victoria shoved him forward. Ethan's hands shook as he reached for the decanter. Not from nerves, but humiliation. "Well, Victoria," one of the girls smirked. "Who's this?" "Your new pet." "He's my driver," Victoria said proudly. "Brought him along so you could play with him." Laughter erupted, sharp as knives. A napkin flicked his way. Someone sneered at his clothes. Victoria only smiled wider. "Does he deserve more? He makes $6,000 a month. That's generous enough." Ethan kept his jaw clenched, head low. But then his eyes met Sophia's. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't smirking. She was just watching. "Hey, driver," another girl said, stretching out her designer shoe. "Tie my lace. These heels are murder." The room giggled again. Victoria's kick to his leg sealed it. "Go on, Ethan. Do it." He knelt, fingers brushing the jeweled buckle, when suddenly Sophia's voice cut through the noise. "Cool. Sharp. Clear. Wait." The room froze. She stood, walked over, and bent down, tying the lace herself. Then her eyes met Victoria's. "This is too much." Victoria's smile faltered, but she forced a laugh. "Oh, Sophia, don't be dramatic. He's just a driver." Sophia ignored her. Instead, she turned to Ethan. "What's your name?" "Ethan." She nodded, her hand brushing his sleeve, steady and deliberate. "Ethan, would you mind taking me home? It's too loud in here." Victoria's glare could have cut glass, but Sophia didn't flinch. Purse in hand, she gave Ethan the only order that mattered that night. "Let's go." The ride back was quiet, the kind of silence that pressed in on you. Sophia sat in the back, her gaze fixed on the window, city lights washing over her face like brushstrokes on a painting. She looked unreal in that moment. Too beautiful, too untouchable. I stole a glance in the mirror, only to find her eyes already on me. Embarrassed, I snapped my gaze forward, but she let out a soft laugh. "You're afraid of Victoria, aren't you?" My grip tightened on the wheel. "She's my boss." Sophia tilted her head, curious. "How long have you been driving for her?" 5 years. 5 years. Her voice carried a note of surprise. "Why haven't you found something better?" I hesitated before answering, my voice low. "I need the money." She didn't press further. But when we pulled up to her mansion, she reached into her purse, handed me a business card, and said simply, "My company's hiring an executive driver. 15 grand a month. Come tomorrow." I stared at the card, frozen, until she leaned forward and tucked it into my shirt pocket herself. Her fingers brushed my chest, cool, steady. "Think I'm a scammer?" she teased, one brow arched. I shook my head, still dazed. "Why are you helping me?" She stepped out of the car, her voice floating back on the night air. "Maybe because I've been a doormat too." Victoria didn't call for days. When she finally did, her voice was sharp with fury. "When did you get your hooks into Sophia?" She actually asked me to let her hire you away. I stayed silent, letting her rage wash over me. "Don't get ideas, Ethan," she spat. "Sophia's just playing with you. Her exes are billionaires. What the hell are you?" I waited until she was done. "Miss Prescott, if that's all, I need to take my sister to her checkup." Her voice shot up an octave. "You're not going anywhere. You're taking me shopping. Sophia will be there. And you better act like the loser you are. If you even think about that job, I'll make sure your sister loses her meds." The hospital corridors were hushed, the air heavy with the sound of ventilators and footsteps. I leaned against a wall, my voice breaking as I finally whispered, "Okay." The next time I saw them, it was the same club, but the air was different, tense, sharp. Just Victoria and Sophia, already mid-argument when I walked in. "What's your problem, Sophia? Is it fun trying to steal my driver?" Sophia's voice was calm, unshaken. "I'm not stealing anyone. I'm giving him a choice." Victoria slammed her glass down. "Overreacting? You know I hate when people touch what's mine." Sophia turned to me, her eyes steady. "Ethan, do you want a job? 2,500 a week, full benefits, vacation. You'd have security, a future." Before I could answer, Victoria's scream cut through the room. "Don't you dare say yes." She marched over, jabbing a finger in my face. "Don't forget who pays your sister's bills. Without the Prescotts, you're nothing." Sophia rose to her feet. "I'll cover his sister's expenses. I'll bring in specialists if I have to." Her voice was calm steel. "You don't get to hold his life hostage." Victoria's face twisted. She grabbed a glass of red wine and hurled it at me. It splashed cold down my hair, staining my shirt. "Get out," she screamed. "I'll deal with you at home." I wiped the wine from my eyes, ready to leave, but Sophia caught my wrist. She pulled a handkerchief from her purse, dabbing my face with quiet care. Then she looked at Victoria, her words like ice. "From now on, Ethan works for me. Touch him again and see what happens." Victoria's eyes widened, disbelief mixing with rage. "You're turning on me for a driver?" Sophia didn't answer. She just took my hand and let me out. Behind us, the crash of glass and screams echoed as Victoria tore the room apart. "Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Sophia said calmly. "Be in my office. Text me your shirt size. I'll have a uniform ready." That night, Victoria called 30 times. I didn't answer. Her last text read like a death sentence. "You're finished, Ethan. Hope your sister likes being taken off her meds." I sat in the hospital, the ventilator's steady rhythm filling the silence. Bills piled high, nurses reminding me what couldn't be delayed. My head dropped into my hands. Then, at 3 in the morning, my phone buzzed. A bank alert. $30,000 direct deposit. Memo. Sophia Hayes, salary advance. I stared at the numbers, blinking, trembling. 10 minutes later, a WhatsApp message lit the screen. Let me know if you need more. Good night. Simple words. But they kept me awake until dawn. The next morning, I walked into Prescott Industries to resign. HR stamped the papers without fuss, but Victoria stormed in like a hurricane. She slapped me across the face in front of the entire floor. You backstabbing trash. How much is she paying you? I'll double it. My cheek burned, but I stood firm. Miss Prescott, let's part ways peacefully. Her laugh was sharp, cruel. Peacefully? If I hadn't taken pity on you, you and your sister would be dead. On your knees, apologize, and maybe I'll let her keep her treatment. Her hand fisted in my collar, eyes full of malice. For a moment, I was back in that first interview 5 years ago, hearing the same words. You need money? Then be obedient. Be the Prescott's dog. And I had been. For years, I carried her shame, her rage, even her crimes. And none of it earned me respect. This time, I pried her hand off me. The medical bills are covered. Thank you for everything, Miss Prescott. Her face twisted. Where did you get the money? Was it that bitch Sophia? She snatched my phone, hurled it to the ground, the screen shattering into pieces. I'll teach you to take her money. Then came the sharp click of heels. Sophia stepped into the office for security guards flanking her. Her gaze swept the room, landing on the shards of my phone, then my bruised face. Who hit you? She asked softly. Victoria flinched. Sophia, what are you doing here? Sophia ignored her, her hand gently touching my cheek. I asked you a question. Who hit you? The office was silent, 100 eyes on me. I lowered mine. I ran into something. Sophia's smile was cold. She turned to Victoria. Care to explain? Victoria tried to hold her ground. He was breaching his contract. I was disciplining him. Victoria's voice cracked, desperate. What's wrong with that? Sophia didn't flinch. She calmly pulled a checkbook from her purse, scribbled a number, and tossed it onto the desk. 10 times the penalty clause. Is that enough? The color drained from Victoria's face. Sophia, do you really have to do this? But Sophia wasn't done. She slid her hand into mine, her voice steady, almost casual, yet every word hit like an explosion. And one more thing. As of today, Ethan is my fiancé. Touch him again, and I'll tear down your entire family. The room froze. The words were a bomb, silencing the entire office floor. Even I just stared at her, stunned. But when Sophia met my gaze, her expression was calm, as if this had always been the plan. I proposed last night, she said smoothly. You accepted. Having second thoughts. I opened my mouth, too shocked to speak. Before I could, Victoria screamed. You've only known him for days. Sophia, are you insane? Sophia arched an eyebrow, cool as ever. More sane than you. At least I know you can't keep a person on a leash. Then she tugged me toward the door, ignoring the chaos behind us. The entire floor craned their necks to watch us leave, Victoria's shrill screams muffled as the guards closed the door behind us. In the elevator, the silence was deafening. I caught sight of our reflection in the mirrored wall. Me, pathetic and rumpled, standing next to Sophia, flawless and composed. Miss Hayes, I muttered, unsure. What you said back there, that was just a tactic, right? She snapped her lipstick shut, turned, and smiled faintly. Call me Sophia, or fiancé. That works too. My ears burned. I'll pay you back for the medical bills as soon as I can. And this fake engagement. But before I could finish, she rose onto her toes, brushing her lips against the corner of my mouth. A perfect lipstick mark bloomed on my skin. Who said it was fake? Her eyes glittered. I don't make jokes like that. And just like that, her phone rang. She answered with the ease of someone discussing the weather, while I stood frozen, the scent of her hair still lingering in the air. The city didn't know what to make of it. Within weeks, I became the laughingstock. Sophia Hayes, the untouchable heiress, was flaunting me like some grand prize. People whispered she'd lost her mind, lifting Victoria Prescott's trash and treating it like treasure. Victoria made sure to fan the flames, posting stories every day. Some people think they're climbing, but they're just mooching, Hilarious watching my bestie pick up my leftovers. I never responded, but Sophia did. She'd screenshot the posts, drop them into the group chat, and type, "Victoria, darling, save the date. Ethan and I are having our engagement party next week." Victoria's phone call came in seconds, her voice shrieking through the speaker. "Who are you trying to piss off, Sophia? Marry that lowlife? What do you even see in him?" Sophia laughed, slipping a ring onto my finger as if it were the easiest answer in the world. "He's good in bed. Want to try?" Victoria hung up instantly. My face burned with humiliation. "Sophia, you don't have to do this." She looked up, lashes fluttering like butterflies, and tilted her head. "Do what? Was I wrong? Or are you not good in bed?" I couldn't speak. She smiled knowingly, patting my cheek. "Don't worry. We'll have plenty of time to test it out after the wedding." The night before the engagement party, Victoria called again. Her voice was slurred, broken. "Ethan, come get me. If you don't, I'll jump." I wanted to ignore her. But when word spread that she was drunk and making a scene at a waterfront club, I went. 5 years of habit are hard to break. She was there, clinging to a pillar, sobbing like a child. The moment she saw me, she stumbled forward, the smell of alcohol clinging to her. "I knew you wouldn't stay away." She tried to bury herself in my arms. I pushed her back gently. "Miss Prescott, I called your driver. He's on his way." Her hand flew across my cheek. "Even you look down on me now? Don't forget, I put food on your table." I backed away, holding my face. "Your tab is paid. I'm leaving." But she grabbed my jacket, her tears soaking through. "Ethan, I regret it. Don't marry Sophia. Please. I'll be good to you now. I'll change." For the first time in 5 years, she sounded vulnerable. And it came too late. "You're drunk, Miss Prescott," I muttered, trying to free myself. She dropped to her knees, clutching my legs. Her voice cracked, trembling. "I really regret it. The truth is, I like you. I was just too scared. Scared they'd laugh at me for falling for a driver." The streetlight cast her tear-streaked face in a pale, broken glow. I looked down at her, remembering all of it. The bag she'd thrown at my head, the wine she'd splashed in my face, the nights I covered her mess while drowning in hospital bills. Getting used to someone isn't the same as loving them. I gently pulled free. "Go home, Miss Prescott." She clung harder, desperation wild in her eyes. "Then what do you like about Sophia? That she's rich? Anything she gives you, I can too." I met her bloodshot gaze, exhaustion washing over me. She wouldn't humiliate me in public. She wouldn't use my sister's life as leverage. And she would never treat me like her pet. Her grip slackened. She collapsed onto the pavement, drained. "Ethan, if I hadn't treated you that way, would you have liked me?" I didn't turn back. My answer was simple. "No, because you're not her." The night air was cold as I walked away. My phone buzzed with a message from Sophia. "What time are you coming home? Want me to order food?" I couldn't help but smile. A pair of headlights cut through the dark, and Sophia's white Bentley rolled up. She lowered the window, eyebrow arched. "Fiancé, caught you cheating, did I?" I slid into the passenger seat. "Just picking up a drunk." She leaned across to buckle my seatbelt, her hair brushing my jaw, tickling. "Victoria?" "Yeah." Sophia leaned in closer, her teeth grazing my ear in a playful bite. "Next time you sneak off to her without telling me, I'll tie you to the bed. 3 days. No escape." My ears burned. "Sophia, there's nothing between us." She smiled, shifting the car into gear. "I know, and it wouldn't matter if there was. You're not getting away from me, Ethan." As the freeway opened up before them, the city lights smeared across the windows like fading memories. Sophia kept one hand steady on the wheel, the other slipping easily into Ethan's. "Are you nervous about tomorrow?" she asked, her voice calm, almost playful. Ethan's gaze lingered on the lights dissolving behind them. "I'm nervous you'll change your mind." She squeezed his hand, her lips curving with quiet certainty. "Regret isn't in my vocabulary. In my book, there's widowhood, but never divorce." The words landed like ice on his chest, sharp and cold, yet softened instantly by the warmth of her smile. For a moment, he let himself believe it was just a dark joke. Because the truth was, Sophia had been nothing but good to him. In just 1 month, she had arranged the best doctors for his sister, moved his aging parents into a place of comfort he could never afford, and treated him as though he were worth far more than he'd ever believed. And so, he gave back the only way he knew how, by memorizing her every like and dislike, by waking early to make her breakfast, by learning how to ease her stress with gentle massages. She would tease him for being too much of a pushover, but deep down, he knew she loved it. After all, who doesn't want to be someone's entire universe? The night before the engagement party, sleep refused to come. He slipped out onto the balcony for a cigarette. The city hushed beneath him. Then warmth. Sophia's arms snaked around his waist from behind. Second thoughts? She whispered. He shook his head. Scared you'll have them tomorrow. Her chuckle brushed his ear like a secret. Then maybe I should give you a reason to be sure right now. Her hand slid beneath his shirt, her touch cool, deliberate. Ethan stammered about the early morning ahead, but Sophia didn't listen. That night, she claimed him with the ferocity of someone branding what was hers. By dawn, his back carried the evidence in scratches, and his chest carried her words. After tomorrow, you'll be completely mine. The party itself felt like walking into another world. A 7-star hotel draped in roses imported just hours before. The red carpet stretched endlessly, daring him to measure up. And then came Victoria, dressed in fire engine red, her smirk sharp enough to cut. How's life as a gold digger? She sneered. Ethan kept his silence, his palms slick with nerves. And then Sophia appeared, radiant, effortless, dressed in a custom mermaid gown that seemed made of light itself. She slipped her hand through his arm, smiling. Fiancé, ready for your execution? Her joke steadied him, if only for a moment. The ceremony unfolded as expected until the MC handed Sophia the microphone. She thanked the crowd, her smile easy, her tone playful, until it wasn't. Her words hit like a wrecking ball. First, a jab wrapped in sugar. If it weren't for Victoria's generosity in letting him go, I never would have found such a fun toy to play with. The room froze, whispers sparking like fire through dry leaves. Ethan's chest tightened. Surely he misheard. But then, the killing blow. Actually, my engagement to Ethan is fake. Just a little bet with Victoria to see if I could take the man she threw away and make him mine for a month. And now that I have, well, the experience was just okay. You can have him back. The ring pressed into his palm, colder than metal had any right to be. The silence in the room cracked open into laughter and gasps. Victoria, quick to seize her cue, grabbed the mic, gloating. The two women high-fived as if they'd rehearsed it, leaving Ethan stranded on stage. Humiliated, disposable, exposed. Flashes from cameras blinded him, each one a nail sealing the coffin of his pride. The MC tried to smooth it over, but Ethan pushed past, his body moving as though on broken glass. Behind him, Sophia's voice rang out once more, sharp, merciless. And by the way, the money and resources for your family? Consider them payment for services rendered. The laughter that followed chased him into the storm outside. Rain poured down, soaking him to the bone, but he didn't stop. His phone buzzed. A message from Sophia. Not bad acting. That hurt expression was very convincing. Then came the bank notification. Severance pay, $100,000. He doubled over on the sidewalk, his stomach heaving, the taste of all bitter on his tongue. By the time he dragged himself back to the apartment, her apartment, the key code had already been changed. A polite concierge told him Sophia's instructions were clear. The property was no longer his. He sat in the stairwell, phone dying in his hand, until the doctor called. His sister's surgery. Payment needed again. Sophia had pulled her support overnight. And then, darkness. His phone went black. By dawn, he stumbled out into the rain, only to find Victoria waiting beside her Porsche, umbrella in hand, smugness radiating off her. Kicked to the curb already? She said sweetly. He said nothing. She reached for his cheek, and he slapped her hand away. This has nothing to do with you. But Victoria only smiled. Poor Ethan, like a stray dog with nowhere to go. She opened the car door with a flourish. Get in. I'll take you back. He hesitated until she twisted the knife. Don't you want to save your sister? Who else is going to take you in? The truth was brutal. There was no one else. And so, in the end, he got in. She told me the truth like it was nothing, like she was talking about the weather. Sophia had never cared. The whole thing, every sweet word, every kiss, every promise, it was a deal. A game they played at my expense. I felt my chest cave in, like the air had been punched out of me. And just like that, I was back in Victoria's mansion, not as her guest, not even as her fiancé, but as her servant. She tossed me a staff uniform, told me I'd be living in the quarters from now on, same pay as before. Then, without missing a beat, she pointed to her shoes and ordered me to take them off. My hand shook as I bent down. She tilted my chin with the tip of her heel, her voice sweet and venomous all at once. Say thank you, Victoria. I whispered the words, and she smiled like a queen rewarding her pet. That was my life again, except worse this time, because now she had Sophia's betrayal to dangle in front of me whenever she wanted. Nights in that narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, I kept asking myself the same question. Why hadn't Sophia just walked away? Why humiliate me in front of everyone? Why crush me like that? A week later, at a glittering party, I got my answer, or maybe just another wound. Sophia strolled in on the arm of a model, radiant, untouchable, and when her eyes finally met mine, it was like looking into ice. She asked me for champagne. I handed it over, head bowed, and she let the glass slip on purpose, shattering it at my feet. Champagne soaked my pants. Her fake apology dripped with cruelty. Victoria yelled at me to get on my knees and clean it up. I stood frozen. That's when Sophia leaned in, pressed her stiletto into the cut on my hand, and whispered words that would burn into me forever. Remember this pain, and don't ever reach above your station again. That night, something in me died. That night, Victoria opened a bottle of wine, and halfway through, the mask slipped. Tears spilled down her face as she whispered, Ethan, I was wrong. I never should have treated you that way. I never should have made that bet with Sophia. I handed her a tissue, but all I could manage was, it's in the past. She clutched my hand like a lifeline. What about us? Can we start over? Her face was streaked with tears, but I felt nothing but exhaustion. Victoria, you only like me when I'm obedient. You don't like who I really am. She shook her head, desperate. That's not true. I see things clearly now. She leaned in to kiss me, but I turned away. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. And then she smiled. A cold, broken smile that was uglier than her crying. I knew it. You still hate me. That night, we slept in separate rooms. But in the middle of the night, smoke filled my lungs. The hallway was fire and chaos, alarms screaming over the crackle of flames. I kicked her door open and found her unconscious on the bed, drunk and unaware. I hoisted her onto my back, teeth clenched against the smoke clawing at my throat. Burning debris fell from the ceiling. A beam was about to crush her, and I threw my arm up, taking the searing pain myself. She stirred weakly, voice trembling. Ethan, what's happening? Don't be scared, I rasped. Hold on tight. By the time we stumbled out of the hotel, my body gave out on the grass. Firefighters pulled her onto a stretcher. She clung to my hand, pleading, don't leave me. But all I could manage was, Victoria, I need to get this burn looked at. In the hospital, she cried when she saw the raw, blistered mess of my arm. I'm sorry I hurt you again. I just shook my head. The pain was sharp, but nothing compared to the numbness inside me. She only had smoke inhalation, but still insisted on moving into my hospital room. Sitting by my bed, trying to peel an apple with shaking hands, she whispered, after everything I did to you, why did you still save me? I didn't look at her, because I would have done it for anyone. Days later, after my sister's surgery, the doctor's smile told me everything I'd been praying to hear. She was going to live a normal life. I collapsed to my knees in the hallway, sobbing into my hands. Years of weight finally breaking loose. Victoria touched my back gently. This is good news, Ethan. Why are you crying? I told her my plan, to take my family back home, to start over with a small shop. Her face fell, but she didn't argue. The next morning, money appeared in my account. enough to buy a franchise. It's not charity, she said. It's an investment. Pay me back when you can. But I sent it back. I can't accept this. She exploded. Why do you have to draw such a hard line? Why can't you let me try to make things right? I looked at her calmly. Because you don't owe me anything. I saved you because it was the right thing to do, not because I wanted something in return. The resignation was quick. HR even handed me 6 months' pay. Miss Prescott's orders, they said. And just like that, I was free. A single box held everything I had from 5 long years. The sun was blinding as I walked out of Prescott Industries. I closed my eyes, breathed deep. For the first time, it felt like stepping out of a prison. But then a familiar Bentley pulled up. Sophia. She stepped out, thinner now, eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Her voice cracked as she said, "We need to talk." I tried to walk past, but her hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. "I'm pregnant." I froze. She pulled off her sunglasses, revealing dark circles, exhaustion, fear. "It's yours." 2 months along. I stared at her, then laughed bitterly. "Sophia, if you're just looking for someone to take the fall, at least make the story believable. We broke up." Her lips trembled. "We didn't use protection. You know we didn't." The words hit hard. It was true, but I steel myself. "And what makes you think it's mine? Don't you have that new boyfriend? The model?" Her eyes filled with tears. "He's not my boyfriend, he's my brother. My actual brother. He was visiting from Europe." I froze. My mind scrambled back to their resemblance. The eyes, the bone structure. My stomach dropped, but I forced my heart to stay hard. "So what was it then? Just fun for you? A performance?" She gripped my sleeve, her voice breaking. "The bet with Victoria wasn't real. My feelings for you were." My breath caught. "What are you talking about?" She showed me her phone. A photo Victoria had taken it the night of the fire. I was asleep, burned and bandaged. The caption read, "My hero." Sophia's voice cracked. The timestamp was from the night before the engagement party. "I waited for you to explain." Sophia's tears fell fast, streaking her face as she whispered, "I just wanted to make you angry. I never thought you'd actually leave." Her voice cracked, fragile, desperate. For a moment, something inside me ached, but then the memories hit. 3 months of humiliation, betrayal, and pain, and I shoved that ache down. "Sophia, are you done playing games? Wasn't once enough." My words came out sharp, colder than I intended. She shook her head, so hard it was almost frantic. "No, I'm really pregnant." She fumbled with her bag, pulled out a folded lab report, her hands trembling. The dates lined up. My throat tightened. I stared at the paper until my vision blurred. Finally, my voice broke out, ragged. "Get rid of it. I can't afford this." Her face drained of color. You don't want our baby?" I couldn't look at her. My words were hollow, mechanical. "How much will it cost?" "I'll pay for it." The slap came before I could finish. My lips split under the sting. "You're a bastard, Ethan," she screamed. I touched the blood at the corner of my mouth, gave her a bitter smile. "I know. A bastard who is never good enough for you. So leave me alone." And I walked. She was screaming behind me, her voice echoing in the station, promising I'd regret it. But I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I did, I knew I'd break. The subway was packed, people pressed shoulder to shoulder, but I felt like the loneliest man alive. Sophia's pale face kept flashing in my head. What if she was telling the truth? What if the baby really was mine? Then the last 3 months must have been hell for her too. But why test me in the cruelest way possible? When I reached my apartment, Victoria was waiting outside, her heels set neatly beside several gift baskets. She shifted uncomfortably. "These are for your sister. And I wanted to see you off." I let her in, poured her a glass of water. She looked around at the peeling paint, the sagging furniture, her frown deepening. "You live in a place like this? Why don't you come back with me?" I shook my head. "This is fine." She suddenly grabbed my hand, her grip tight, almost trembling. "Ethan," I looked into it. Sophia might be telling the truth. That model really is her brother. I pulled my hand free. "So," Victoria's voice quickened, urgent. "So, it was all a misunderstanding. For someone as proud as her to come find you today, it must mean something. Victoria, this doesn't concern you." Her face froze, then softened into a bitter smile. "You're right. It doesn't." She stood, walked to the door, then hesitated. Her voice was small, breaking just slightly. But if you had never met her, would you have liked me? I didn't answer right away. Silence stretched between us. Finally, I said quietly, there are no ifs. Her eyes turned red, but she forced a smile, nodded. Okay, then I wish you. The door closed before she could finish. I leaned against it, sliding down to the floor exhausted. That's when my phone lit up. An unknown number. An ultrasound photo. A tiny shadow shaped like a peanut. The message read, "You don't have to want it, but please come with me. I'm scared to go alone." My hand shook as I stared at the screen, the room spinning. Outside, the rain fell, just like the night of the engagement party. Finally, I called. Which hospital? On the other end, Sophia's voice cracked through tears. You're coming. I gripped the phone, my chest heavy. Yeah, wait for me. At the hospital, the rain was pouring, and Victoria was standing there with an umbrella, soaked but steady. Her smile was soft, almost sad. I knew you'd come. I'll go up with you. In the room, Sophia looked pale against the white sheets. When she saw Victoria, her eyes turned sharp as glass. What are you doing here? Victoria set down flowers, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Came to see the show. The great Sophia Hayes, knocked up and unmarried. Sophia's hand shot out, grabbing a cup, hurling it at her. Get out. I stepped in between them. Victoria, go. Her eyes flicked to mine. Are you really choosing her? After everything. Sophia ripped the four from her hand, blood dripping down her wrist. This is none of your business. I rushed to stop her, pressing gauze against her skin, but she used the moment to grab my hand. Her voice was shaking. Ethan, you really don't want me? Or the baby? Victoria sneered from the doorway. Who are you trying to fool? You're the one who pushed him away. The shouting swelled, but before it could explode, the nurse stormed in, snapping. If you're going to fight, do it outside. Silence fell. Victoria slipped out, leaving Sophia and me alone. She leaned against me, sobbing quietly. I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please don't leave me. I looked at the blood staining her hand. My chest heavy, my heart caught in chains. Is the baby really mine? She nodded, eyes wet. Only you. It's only ever been you. I helped her reinsert the four. She whispered suddenly, if I wasn't pregnant, would you still have come? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. In the hallway, Victoria was waiting, hope written all over her face. So, who do you choose? I thought of Sophia's pale face, her trembling hands. I thought of Victoria's red eyes and bitter smiles. And I felt exhausted. I'm not choosing anyone. I'm going back home tomorrow. Victoria froze. Her grip tightened on my arm. Is it because we both hurt you? The rain beat against the windows like a ticking clock. I turned away. Maybe when I'm better. Maybe then I'll deserve to be loved for real. Not as a toy. Her hand slipped from my arm. Her smile broke. I see. Then goodbye, Ethan. I didn't answer. I just watched the elevator doors close, the numbers sinking like a final curtain. When I went back to Sophia's room, she was asleep, a single tear still glistening on her lashes. I wiped it away, sat beside her bed through the night. At dawn, she stirred, eyes opening slowly. Relief washed over her face when she saw me. I thought you left. I handed her a glass of water. We'll do another checkup after breakfast. Her voice was small, trembling. Will you stay with me? I hesitated, then said, yeah. She smiled, fragile but real. Later, as I peeled an apple, the knife slipped, nicking my finger. A drop of blood welled. Before I could pull away, she grabbed my hand, pressed the wound to her lips. Her warmth startled me. When I used to get hurt, you'd do this for me. Her eyes lifted to mine, red and searching. Can we start again? The door opened. A nurse stepped in. We're ready for the procedure. Sophia's hand tightened around mine. I'm not doing it. I held her steady. Don't make this harder. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Then marry me. We can raise this baby together. Her pleading eyes tore at me, but I knew my answer. I pulled my hand away. My voice was low, final. Sophia, some wounds don't heal just because you're pregnant. The color drained from her face. It was like all the strength holding her up had been ripped away. Slowly, she let go of my hand. Okay, she whispered, I understand. I walked with her to the operating room, step by step, like marching towards something neither of us wanted. At the door, she suddenly turned and wrapped her arms around me, clinging so tight it felt like she wanted to sink into my bones. "Ethan, I'm sorry." And then, she was gone, slipping past the doors without looking back. The second they shut, something inside me cracked. I slid down the wall, numb, until my phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "I give up. I hope you'll be happy." I don't know how long I sat there, watching the light above that operating room. When it finally clicked off, the doctor stepped out, his face heavy. "She's hemorrhaging. We need an emergency transfusion. Rare blood type." I shot to my feet. "Use mine," with the same type. He blinked, surprised. "You're sure?" I rolled up my sleeve before he could even finish. Through the glass, I saw her, pale as a sheet, fading, slipping away. A nurse whispered that she'd been calling my name in her sleep. My fists clenched so tight, I felt my nails dig into my skin. 3 hours later, she was stable, alive but unconscious. They moved her to a private room, and I stayed by her side until my own body gave out, my head slumping against her bed. I woke to fingers brushing through my hair. Sophia's eyes were open, red with tears. "Why did you save me? You should have let me die." Her voice was broken, but her hand was warm against my cheek. "The baby's gone," she whispered. "Now you have even less reason to want me." I had no words, only silence as I helped her sip water. Victoria came once while she was recovering. Left gifts, turned to leave. At the door, her voice cracked, even though her eyes stayed dry. "I'm moving abroad. I won't be back. Be good to her, Ethan. She's messy, but she's real. More real than I ever was." I walked her to the elevator. Just before she stepped in, she kissed my cheek, light, quick, fragile. "Goodbye, Ethan." The doors slid shut, and I saw her wipe her eyes. Back in the room, Sophia stared out the window. "She's gone?" she asked. I nodded. "Are you sad?" I didn't answer. She turned to me, voice soft, eyes glassy. "If I died, would you remember me longer?" I frowned. "Don't talk like that." She smiled anyway, a smile sadder than tears. "Just kidding." The day she was discharged, I went to handle paperwork. When I came back, her bed was empty. A nurse handed me a letter. The handwriting was hers. "Ethan, I'm letting you go. Find a normal girl. Get married. Have kids. Live a quiet life. Forget me." I ran outside, just in time to see her car vanish around the corner. Her number was dead. Her family only said she'd gone abroad to recover. It was as if she'd been erased. I searched everywhere. Her yacht club, her gallery, all the places that held echoes of her. Nothing. Finally, I went home. Outside my apartment sat a box. Inside, the ring and an ultrasound picture. On the back, scrawled words, "Goodbye, my love." That night, I sat staring at it until dawn. And by sunrise, I knew I had to leave the city. They said it was dinner, but it felt more like a scene straight out of a horror film. Sophia, in her apron, leaning close with a spoonful of soup. Victoria, sliding ribs onto my plate with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. You wouldn't abandon 2 sick women, would you? One claimed cancer, the other a terminal illness. Their voices soft, almost pleading, but the logic was twisted, suffocating. I tried to stand, to run, but my body felt heavy, drugged. "What did you put in the soup?" I asked, panic rising. Sophia wiped my mouth like a child's and whispered, "Just vitamins." You looked exhausted. From then on, they cared for me like I was their doll, feeding me, dressing me, bathing me, even reading me the Wall Street Journal so I wouldn't get bored. And at night, Sophia wrapped herself around me, whispering, "It's warmer this way." I begged, I reasoned, this was imprisonment. But their answer was chilling, a document stamped by a psychiatric facility declaring me delusional. "We're your legal caretakers now," Sophia smiled. They weren't just dangerous. They were insane. One afternoon, when the house fell quiet, I crawled through a ventilation grate, heart pounding with hope. I almost made it to the garden before a guard caught me. Sophia was waiting, arms folded, her smile sharp as a knife. Naughty boys have to be punished. The next thing I knew, a chain wrapped my ankle, long enough to walk, never far enough to escape. Victoria knelt, fastening it gently. "Don't hate us. We just love you too much." I asked her if the sickness was real, if she was really dying. She froze, then slowly pulled open her collar. A scar carved deep across her chest. Do you believe me now? And that night, Sophia cried in my arms, murmuring about betrayal at work, board members plotting against her. But when her hand slipped under my shirt, and I begged her to stop, her eyes turned cold. And where would you go? To that cashier you've been smiling at? Your father fired her yesterday. My blood ran cold. What did you do? Sophia only kissed me, whispering, You have us. That's all you need. The chain grew longer the next day. I could reach the study. There, a live feed of my parents' store flickered on the screen. They looked fine until I noticed a man in a black suit standing in the corner, watching. The threat was clear. That night, Victoria coughed blood across the table. I rushed to her side, only to see Sophia's disgust. Enough. The fake blood smells. My plate shattered on the floor. Is this a game to you? Silence followed. Then Victoria pressed a hidden clasp, and the chain at my ankle fell loose. It was never locked. You just never try to leave. Sophia hugged me from behind, whispering, Every time you said you'd go, you didn't. When I cried, you held me. When she bled, you protected her. Ethan, you care about us. Just admit it. And I didn't leave. Not that night. Not the one after. I stayed. Slowly, like a frog in boiling water, I got used to their twisted version of love. Sophia kissing me before work. Be good and wait for me. While Victoria, fragile but clever, filled the days with half-truths and hidden wounds. One feverish night, she mumbled through a dream, confessing her parents never cared about her, that she had always been alone. And another night, Sophia stumbled and drunk, crying about a grandfather who said women couldn't inherit the family business, a father ready to sell her off for power. Lying there between them, I finally understood. Behind the madness, behind the manipulation, was just loneliness. Imprisoned by their wealth, they only knew how to show love through control, through pain. But the next morning, something shifted. I made breakfast, simple eggs, and Sophia looked at me as if I'd just performed a miracle. The first time you've ever made me eggs, she whispered, almost in awe. Victoria snapped a picture of me in an apron, calling it a souvenir, and life went on in that strange, absurd way until my sister showed up. She burst through the door, waving her college acceptance letter, her face glowing with excitement. But the glow didn't last. She froze when she saw Sophia feeding me fruit, Victoria trimming my nails, and me sitting there, silent. Her expression collapsed, joy to shock, then to raw terror. Ethan, are they holding you hostage? Should I call the police? Sophia didn't miss a beat. Calm, sharp, she said, We're taking care of your brother, voluntarily. Victoria added, He hasn't been well. But Mia didn't buy it. She clutched her letter tighter, and I could see it in her eyes. She was ready to fight. I told her I was fine, told her to go home. But she stood her ground, stubborn. Not unless you come with me. Sophia's voice hardened, a warning wrapped in ice. Little girl, don't get involved in things that don't concern you. Victoria was already dialing security when I stopped her. She's my sister, I said. My only sister. And so, we reached a fragile compromise. Mia stayed, tucked away in a guest room. But that night, she crept into mine, her voice shaking. Ethan, tell me the truth. Are they threatening you? I looked past her, out the window, where guards paced the grounds like shadows. Mia, I whispered, I'm in a dream right now. When I wake up, I'll come home. She broke then, hugging me, sobbing into my shoulder. Mom and Dad are so worried. You sound different every time you call. I stroke her hair, promising her just a little more time. The next day, the game changed. Sophia canceled all her meetings. Victoria cleared her schedule. They took Mia shopping, draping her in jewelry, dresses, gifts worth millions. When she returned, arms overflowing with bags, her face was pale. Ethan, they spent millions on me. They said they'd pay for my entire college tuition if I stopped trying to take you away. I stared at the diamond bracelet on her wrist, my stomach sinking. You'll return everything tomorrow, I told her. I'll pay for your school. But then she grabbed my sleeve, her voice trembling. Actually, Sophia fainted earlier. At the hospital, they found out she's pregnant. The words jolted me upright. What? In that sterile white hospital room, Sophia lay pale but glowing when she saw me. She placed my hand on her stomach, whispering, "This time it's real." 2 months. And the doctor confirmed it. High risk, complete bed rest. My mind spun, but we hadn't, at least not recently. She cut me off, gently reminding me of that night. I'd been too drunk to remember clearly. A memory blurred like a dream surfaced. It hadn't been a dream. And then, Victoria stormed in, waving a lab report like a trophy. What a coincidence. I'm pregnant too. Sophia shot upright. When did you? Victoria smirked, tugging at her collar. The night of my birthday, when he stayed with me. The two of them glared at me, demanding an answer. Choose. I looked at their still flat stomachs and started to laugh. Choose? They're both mine. I choose both. Their stunned faces melted into shock, into something softer, and I laid down my rules. No more lies, no tricks that could harm the babies, and most of all, they had to get along. And somehow, against all odds, they did. The mansion changed. No more guards, no more cameras. They even went to prenatal yoga together. Still bickering, still competing, but without the poison. My sister visited again, blinking at the sight of us in matching aprons. Dad said, "Bring your wife home for Thanksgiving." She laughed. He didn't say there'd be two of them. And when the babies finally came, 2 girls born just 3 hours apart. I held one in each arm, overwhelmed, terrified, yet whole. Sophia, weak but smiling, whispered for me to let Victoria hold them first. Victoria froze, then softened, tears in her eyes. Their tiny hands clutched my fingers, fragile and fierce. And in that moment, I knew this was my family in all its impossible, tangled, beautiful chaos.